Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Anti-News Podcast. I'm your host, Katie Grosso, and thank you for tuning in. Today's date is July 12th, and as always, I've got 5 happy stories for you. First off, 2 Boy Scouts save a woman from drowning, another woman helps her twin sister have a baby, and a Chinese monk rescues dogs from the streets. After the music break, scientists take inspiration from lobsters, and a massive green hydro plant is going to be built in Kazakhstan. Drowning is one of the worst ways to die. The water filling your lungs as you struggle for breath can send your body into shock, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's one of the many examples where you have to rely on those around you for survival. Thankfully, time and time again, humans have shown that they have the kindness and bravery needed to risk their own lives to save others, as was the case when 2 Boy Scouts spotted a woman in need of rescue from drowning. In Columbia, Missouri, Joseph Daner and Dominic Viet were riding their bikes with their friends. While doing so, they were going through the town to look at the damage that had been caused by a massive rainstorm that had caused flooding in some parts of the city. During that ride, they heard a cry for help, and when they went to investigate, they saw a woman wearing a bathing suit clinging to a basketball hoop that was almost completely submerged. A small crowd had already gathered near the woman, but Joseph and Dominic were the first ones to act. "We were like, we can swim, we've trained for this," Dominic told Today. "Then we were just like, let's go. And then we just ran right in." The 2 swam out to the woman and had her grab onto their shoulders. Their legs were cramped by that point, but they were able to doggy paddle back to solid ground, where the woman started vomiting up water. The woman is expected to be okay, according to Assistant Fire Chief Jerry Jenkins. "The person had entered the water to swim, to the best of our knowledge," Jenkins explained, adding that there is no swimming access in that park. These 2 young Boy Scouts come by and heard the distress calls. For 2 15 and 16-year-olds to react that way, it's very heroic. Self-preservation is a strong instinct to overcome, but the desire to help others is stronger. If you ever find yourself in a situation where someone is in danger and needs help, make sure that it's safe for you to go in. If not, then call 911, or your equivalent of 911, for help. Human kindness and compassion is something that will never die, and we're all the better for it. I grew up as an only child, but from what I've seen and heard, siblings either hate each other or would die for one another with no real in-between. This seems to be especially true for twins. It's said that some twins can even feel what the other twin's feeling, which I can only imagine creates a deeper bond between them. Billy Joe Rose and Bobby Joe Sullivan are twin sisters, but despite that, Billy has had numerous health problems. When they were 7, Billy was diagnosed with leukemia. Bobby was ready and willing to help her sister out with donating bone marrow for a transplant, but then Billy was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer 25 years later. It was just shocking, but they said it was very treatable, and then I went through chemotherapy, again, and then I opted to do the double mastectomy because I did not want this reoccurring in any shape or form. Billy explained her feelings, and Bobby was just as crushed. In my head, I'm like, why? Why is this always happening to her? Why can't I take some of this? Bobby said on her sister's bad luck. The chemotherapy left Billy infertile, and if she wanted to have a family, she would need a donor egg. Once again, Bobby was more than willing to provide said egg. A little under 9 months after the donation, Billy gave birth to a healthy baby girl named June, who came 4 weeks before her due date. Despite joking about how much Billy owes Bobby, Bobby feels honored to have helped her sister have a family of her own. To see the smile on her face and the smile on her husband's face, I would do it 100 times over again, without a doubt, she said. As an only child, I don't know much about sibling relationships, but I do know how important family is. Family looks out for each other and helps one another out. Though they aren't always determined by blood, family should always be the people that make you feel happy, safe, and loved. I hope that every one of you out there has that. And if you don't, know that it's out there, and you'll find it sooner than you think. Buddhism is one of the largest religions in the world, with around 470 million followers, and being more than 2,500 years old. The basic principle of Buddhism is that, depending on how you act in this life, your next life will be better or worse. If you're a good person, then your next life will be better, and if you're bad, then your next life will be harder, or you might even end up as an animal or worse. The highest goal for Buddhists is to reach the 4th stage of consciousness, at which point the person realizes that life is merely an illusion. However, the holiest of Buddhist monks, the Bodhisattvas, choose to instead stay on Earth to help those around them, much like Xi Zhang, a Buddhist monk who has devoted his life to rescuing dogs. 51-year-old Xi Zhang has been rescuing homeless dogs since 1994 in Shanghai. In that time, he's rescued over 8,000 dogs, taking care of them and nursing them back to health as best as he possibly can. With the help of volunteers and Biaoan Temple workforce, Zhang is currently caring for hundreds of cats and dogs, the cost of which comes to $2.5 million per year. He isn't just hoarding them, however. With the help of social media, the monk connects with families overseas to adopt out as many of the animals he rescues as possible. To date, he's adopted out 300 dogs to people in Canada, the United States, and Germany. Those that are too sick or old, he keeps, but those that are young and healthy enough, he finds homes for. I think they're very happy, so I feel it's worthwhile, Zhang told ABC Australia. But of course I miss them. I have a dream that one day, when I have some free time, I want to go abroad and visit them, take photos with every dog that I rescued. So when I get old and can't walk, I have these photos to look at. What happens to us after we die has been debated and fought over for thousands of years, and we still have no answer, or even universal agreement. One thing we have agreed on is that good people get good things, and bad people get bad things. Whatever is on the other side of this mortal coil, I think we can all agree that Xi Zhang has plenty of good things waiting for him. Whatever you believe happens, try to be the best person you can be. Not because of what might happen to you in the next life, but so that you can be happy in this one. One thing that always makes me happy is music. So let's go to the music break.
Close my eyes and calm descends on me. Take me with you. We soar to infinity. We're going at the speed of light. Bring me higher. You lift my feet up from the ground. I wish upon the shooting star that you make me lighter. And now you hit my heart with the speed of light. with the speed of light.
That was Galaxies by Gens East. Now on to the last two stories. Sometimes, scientific advancements can sound like a game of Mad Libs. For example, doctor leaves out petri dish and comes back to find a new wonder drug. Or, man drops rubber and sulfur on hot stove, makes an even stronger rubber. As strange as these might sound, that's how we ended up with penicillin and vulcanized rubber. So when I say that scientists invent artificial tendons thanks to lobsters, while it's still a surprise, it's not as unbelievable as you might think. Engineers at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute for Technology, have been studying the intricate architecture of a lobster's underbelly to help develop a strong and stretchy hydrogel-based material, which could become a model for stronger artificial tissues. How a lobster's underbelly works is that it has a protective membrane made from chitin sheets stacked on top of each other at 36-degree angles, like a spiraling staircase. This is called a Bouligan structure, which allows it to handle constant stretching and straining without tearing. Xiaotin Lin, one of the study's authors, explains, "We learned that this Bouligan structure in the lobster underbelly has high mechanical performance, which motivated us to see if we could reproduce such structures in synthetic materials." The scientists recreated the structure using fatigue-resistant hydrogels, which were spun into ultra-thin threads about 800 nanometers in diameter. The threads were then arranged into flat films, which were then stacked on top of one another, and then welded and crystallized in an incubator to strengthen the material and form the hydrogel. Between the hydrogel's stretchiness and strength, the research team is confident that this material could help develop flexible and durable artificial tissues, like tendons and ligaments. For a hydrogel material to be a load-bearing artificial tissue, both strength and deformability are required. Our material design could achieve these two properties, said Lin. This new hydrogel is stretchier than Kevlar and can be used in a number of new applications outside of artificial tendons, which connect muscles to bone and stretch with our limbs, which allow us to move. While rare, breaking a tendon can be extremely painful and disabling, but this new hydrogel gives an option to fix or even replace destroyed tendons. All of this was inspired by a lobster, which was once considered a meal for poor people, but is now fairly expensive. Regardless of its culinary history, this creature helped to inspire scientists and engineers to make a new material that could possibly help a lot of people. It's not the first time animals have inspired scientific advancements, and I'm sure it won't be the last either. Birds inspired us to fly, and whales inspired submarines, so who knows what'll be next. Green energy is becoming more and more widespread, replacing less environmentally friendly sources like coal and petroleum. However, even green energy sources need land to be built on. The more energy you want to make, the more land you need to build on, which isn't always available, especially in countries with large populations like China or India. On the other hand, some countries don't have a lot of people, but they also don't have a lot of land, like Iceland or Liechtenstein. Kazakhstan, however, is the 9th largest country and the 18th least populated, meaning that it's not too crowded, not too small, but just right for renewable energy development. A German energy company called Svevend is planning to install 45 gigawatts worth of solar and wind devices to power the world's largest green hydrogen plant. How a hydrogen plant works is by taking liquid hydrogen and pouring it into what is essentially a giant battery filled with electrolytes. An electric charge is made, as is water as a byproduct. The water comes out, and the electricity is siphoned off to much larger batteries where it's stored until it's needed, at which point it works just like a regular power plant. No dangerous byproducts are made, and the only issue is finding cheap sources of hydrogen. Well, that and finding a place big enough to build the plant, of course, but all energy sources have that issue. The largest hydrogen plant currently in existence is in Canada and has 20 megawatts of electrolyzing capability. In contrast, the one that's going to be built in Kazakhstan will have 30 gigawatts. For reference, 1 gigawatt is equal to 1,000 megawatts, which just serves to show how big this new plant will be. The green energy is planned to be exported to countries in Europe and Asia, or domestically to make ammonia to fuel planes and ships. The hydrogen can also be used by the steel and aluminum industries. Construction is planned to be finished in 2026, and once it's done, it'll be a huge source of green energy. Until then, there are plenty of things you can do to help support green energy. If your house gets a lot of light, and you can afford it, install solar panels for a start. There's also just being conscious of the energy you use. Turning off lights before you leave the house, unplugging devices before leaving on a long trip, or even just turning off the water while you brush your teeth are all things that can really help the environment. Here's today's advice. It's simple advice, but make sure you're getting plenty of fluids if you're being active. Your body will let you know when it needs water, so just listen to it. Energy drinks and pop are nice now and again, but if you're doing a lot of work or exercise, choose water or juice instead. That's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to support this podcast, you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Google and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker. Links can be found in the description. And until next time, remember that there is still some good in the world, you just gotta look for it. Take care out there, everyone.